can see all from her secret garden. She still visits that special place.
Okay, Michelle, what we're going to do here is we're going to take my real high-tech
styrofoam
plate that we use as our palette, and I'm sure it's not environmentally friendly, but it works because you can throw it away. And we're going to add a little bit of paint here.
Okay. Just regular acrylics again.
Mm-hmm. This is the acrylics we're going to be using for the base here.
Okay.
To do the brush strokes in and fill in. I want to put another color. I like to use two colors together. It gives it the dimensional look.
All right.
And then we'll put a medium in there. And this is simply like a glazing medium. It's called a wash medium.
All right.
And it's just your clear glaze that you use that comes in the
And
gallon.
this just makes your paint a little bit more translucent.
Yes, and it gives you more drying time to work with it.
Extends it.
Yes,
Okay.
I just try to, on my brush, load it equal parts and then mix it together and blend it together so that you get that same really, this is a fun thing to do.
Okay.
It's not anything you're going to have to think about. But you do want to make sure that your brush is damp and then you dry it on here.
Start with a damp brush.
Absolutely.
All right.
Not drippy, just damp.
Okay.
Get it really wet and then make sure it's soft back and forth.
Okay.
Right? Now fill your medium into your brush.
Both sides?
Yeah, just load the brush up with that because that's what's going to give you that movement.
All right.
And then dip into your paints, and what I would do is double load it up with two different colors so that you can get that double color going through as you brush.
Okay.
And we'll move this out of the way, and then you can just
crisscrossy?
Yeah, just in a slip, slop. Very technical.
Okay.
See how pretty you're getting the double?
All right,
and if you start feeling like you're getting too much dark in there, add a little bit of the light. You can make it more translucent, the more glaze you use.
Now, if I were to just put this on here without this glazing medium,
it would be just fine.
It would be just fine. It's just not
more opaque.
Brushes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Michelle, if you want to give me that one.
All right.
We'll put this away. And before I put this away, I want to talk to you about whenever you're doing a job of this size, you want to stick with the bigger brushes. You don't want to use little 1/4-inch brushes to do the large stuff. But now we're going to move on.
It's going to do your background with the bigger
brush.
Right, and when you come in with the detail, you need to swap
You've
out.
got it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, we're going to use, this is just
like my first day on the job.
I know. But it might be somebody's. Okay, we have a half-inch.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a little half-inch brush. I'm going to show you one, and then I'll have you do the rest.
All right,
okay?
go for it.
Okay. Let's load our palette up again. And obviously, these are sweet peas because we're going to do them in pinks and we talked
True
about
colors.
True colors, yes, because we do have some aficionados out there. And now, this goes back to what I was saying, double loading the brushes up with different colors so that you get the variations. And then we're going to, I'm going to show you the medium, the float medium, what it does to give it that really nice translucent effect. And then I load it up, and then I'm going to put the pink and the white first on it, and I'm going to double load my brush with the pink and the white, half and half. That's called double loading. So when you're reading like the instructions in my columns and that, you'll know that what double loading is. And that's when you do half the brush with one color and half with the other, and then stroke it out to blend it in. Now, like this little sweet pea here goes that way. I'm going to do what they call a shell stroke. And it just basically is making a shell, and I'm putting the dark side down and the light side up because if the sun is coming from up here, you want to catch the light on your edge. So you do just a little shell. See how easy that is? Now using the same dirty brush.
All right.
You can dip the pink side into the burgundy.
All right.
Now brush it out, keeping your sides on the same. And that's called multi-loading because you're adding more than two. Okay, and you can lay in an overlapping shell on that, just like I have here.
Okay.
But I put the dark side up, so it
dark side's
up so that it reflects against.
I can paint a sweet pea.
There you go.
Is there one brush that you really use a lot in creating your flowers?
Yeah, the half-inch flat brush I use on most everything because that's about the size that I work at. Yeah, they're the shorter bristles too, so that makes it a little more control for the flowers and stuff. The longer bristles gives you longer leaves, longer petals.
All right.
I'm going to go to a little bit bigger brush because I want to have the freedom of the movement. You'll notice with all the backgrounds here, we have the greenery put in first. I like to use a real vivid green pigment, like this one here.
The pigment colors
are more intense, very intense. And we're still going to use the float medium. So you want to load that up. We're going to double load again. I put the dark on the outside, and I'm just going to do a zigzag like this, see, out around the edges. Just kind of like a daisy petal or leaf is. You're going to keep them in like clusters because obviously your bloom is going to be in the center. We're going to go to a smaller brush again, and we'll do the pansies while this is drying. And I'm a little more versed in the flowers on this is because that's my subject I always use. But if whatever it is you're painting, you want to try to have something there that gives you an idea, keeps you focused.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
you don't have to pull it out of your head. to be good at it.
No,
right?
you don't have to know every breed of
Okay.
animal and flower.
I think a lot of people think that's cheating if I'm looking
See, you're
at
wetting the
something.
brush already and
Okay,
dampening
yep,
it. Okay,
I'm
we're
getting
going to
into that
add,
groove.
if you want to hang on to that, I'm going to add some purples to our plate. I'm going to go ahead and load it again with the float medium. I'm going to double load with white and then the true purple here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to brush that out, keeping it intact. You're just going to do a little shell for one petal,
Okay.
a little shell
Look how pretty that is.
for another petal. But I'm going to go back into my float and I'll brush that out just like I did and keep it all intact. And now I'm going to add the darker blue purple because simply just to make it more abundant on there so it shows up. And that gives you kind of those center ones that you see there. And then I'm going to just bring them around like this. And I'm putting the dark to the outside. Okay, and then you can add your detail work later with the blacks and the, yellow centers. Just remember, as with nature, nothing grows absolutely perfect.
Okay, I'll practice those later. Let's move on
okay.
to the flower.
We'll go back to the daisies.
I think I can handle these daisies.
And we already have the color. We're just going to do
right.
white daisies on the green and yellow. Okay, I'm going to use just a little bit of float on this, not a lot. That's because I want it to be more opaque so that it stands out a little bit more and not so translucent so it doesn't fade into the background. Okay, and I'm just loading up the round brush all the way around. I'm going to start on the outside and pulling in towards like a spoke, towards the center, and then you can go back and add some of the cute little ones around the edges to make it look like a bigger one. Okay, I just press, pull, and lift. Press, pull, and lift. And then we're going to move on and do the centers here, which are very easy and fun.
Okay.
This is just an old dry brush that I've had for a long time. If you take an old brush and trim it down, you get the same effect on it. It's kind of a little pouncing brush. And I just take it and literally just pounce it into my color that I want to use, and I use two colors, so I get the double colors of green, and then just pounce it in your center. And then take a little white just to create a highlight on it.
And you do a lot of different styles, a lot of different techniques on your floor cloths as well as your furniture, but basically the same thing applies to all surfaces.
No matter what you're doing, you want to stick with, doing the right prep work on it. You want to be very patient and practice. That way you can have it come out. This is a good thing to start practicing on because this is just fun. And when you put the borders in, that makes it even more whimsical, makes it more fun. Nobody's expecting perfection. When they see that, they know that this is just a fun piece of something.
When you said that, if I put a black and white check around it, people don't expect it to be perfect.
They won't look for Michelle's flowers.
I'm going to write my name right there. That'll get you off the hook.
I'll have you sign it right there.
Are those clay tiles we see on the stoop? Nope, it's just paint. We'll show you how in just a few. Peggy Boyd has been painting ever since she could hold a brush in her hand, and that passion for paint has bloomed into a growing business of instructional books, regular magazine features, and commissioned work. It's also a gift she truly loves to share.
A brush is very comfortable in my hand, and I love what it can do with the stroke. I mean, there's no mistakes really, because you can turn that stroke into anything. For inspiration, I draw that from my garden. I love my garden. When we moved, I brought my flowers with me. That's how much I loved my garden. I brought everything with me, and when I plant, it's like painting to me because it's basically you're painting with God's colors. And you never know what's going to come up. You don't know what it's going to look like, and that's kind of the way I think when I paint. It's like you just never know it might start out as this, but by the time I'm done, it's not going to be that. It could have something else added to it. It's really nice to share with other people what you do, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of like opening your door on a spring day. You let everybody in to see what you have or what you're doing. It is just paint. Don't be afraid. Just be real loose with it. Be, open with it. Just embrace the creativity of it. Don't feel like you have to come up with something. It does not have to fit a cookie cutter thing. Whatever you do is you, and it's coming out in that. I would say that would be the hardest part, is putting up with the failures. Sometimes things don't work out, and you have to throw it away or you have to start over. But you have to learn. You can't be afraid of that. And that's probably the hardest part. That first time you take the brush and you think, oh, I just painted this. Am I going to? You put that stroke on there and you think, oh, did I do something right? Don't be so nervous about it. Just do it. Just do it. It's like stepping into the water for the first time. Just do it and see if you like it. Just pick up the brush, even if you start out very small. Do a floor cloth, do something in your home, someplace where you don't have to have it exposed to anyone except for yourself, and enjoy it. And I think, you know, the best thing to do is to get the fulfillment of seeing that you've done it yourself. And it's really exciting to have somebody come over and say, oh my gosh, is that paint? You know, it's like, yeah, it is, thank you.
And in the morning I wake up happy.
Well, Peggy, I love your attitude. It's just paint. I mean, really, don't be afraid. Just paint it. And if you don't like it, you can paint over it. But there are a lot of different paints that are out there. You know, some say they work for metal, for glass, for wood. Talk a little bit about kind of what you've experienced with all of these different products.
Okay, and like I said before, it's all trial and error. You want to try it and then see if you like it. This is for ceramics. If you want to do it on a tile or on a glass plate, you don't want to do it on anything you're going to be eating off of. You want to do it on the back side. Okay. That's the first key to using this enamel paint. Now, this
really does make a difference. You know, they don't just have all these paints labeled so you're buying 5 different kinds of paint. It really does.
Absolutely, yeah, because this one you can bake. Okay. It actually cures it if you bake it. And if it's in the wall and you want to paint on it like a tile, like in your bathroom or your kitchen on backsplash, 21 days and it cures itself. So that just ensures that it's going to stay there with, you know, light soap and water. You can wash it off. It's fine. And also with these, you want to use the softer bristle brushes for glass painting. That makes a large difference because what happens is you're pulling off the paint if you use a brush that is a little coarser. On doing something like woodworking like this, I just have a frame here, but this applies to furniture too. If you have an unfinished piece of furniture, you don't want to use these now. These obviously are too soft for this. You'd want to use brushes that are your regular acrylic brushes. Okay. And with that, then you can use your regular acrylic paints and pigments, the durable paints and glazes. I mean, almost anything will go on this. You can't really harm this. This one is for paper, or on the leather now you can use your regular acrylics and pigments. But on the paper pages inside in that, this will do it without bleeding through.
So use the right brushes and the right paints.
Right, it's just safer that way, unless you've had a lot of experience working and mixing and you've done a lot of trial.
Most people, they just want to grab the bottle and go. And now we have in front of us here a floor cloth. You really enjoy doing floor cloths.
Yes, I do.
And you do some amazing pieces. Talk a little bit about this is linoleum, a favorite of mine.
Yes, I've heard.
You can do so many things with it, but there are different types of linoleum.
Absolutely.
So why don't you talk a little bit about...
Okay, this one is like this, which is a softer, pliable linoleum. And obviously you're going to paint on the smooth side, so you want to flip that linoleum over because this side is, unless you're lucky.
See a lot of
unless you're really, really lucky, you're not going to get a completely smooth surface.
So did you prime your linoleum first?
And what I usually do is when I prime it, I use an oil base or I'll use like a Zinsser, and that gives you a nice durable finish to start with. And that's where we got this base tan. That's what was underneath all these.
All of these.
Right. And what I did then is I taped it off to make the fun squares with the 1/4 inch.
Just masking
It's called
tape.
grout tape. Then what we'll do is we'll paint in here, like I have here, I put the brush stroke colors in the background, and then we add the decorative on that. And it's a layering process, so you want to let each layer dry.
And you have a lot of books that you've written and so forth on decorative, techniques.
Yes.
So you're going to share a few of those with us.
Right, and it's all the same. It doesn't matter what surface you're working on, whether it's on furniture, or if it's on the floor, or a floor cloth, or if it's on your walls or your ceilings. You want to have the right steps so that it ensures that you haven't ruined it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, your artwork is your own, but the steps you do have to kind of stay with those.
Okay.
Okay.
So see, there are rules.
Certainly.
There weren't any rules.
I know, I wish.
All right.
I've learned a few of my own.
No.
Okay, so do you want to go ahead and
let's do it. I'm ready to paint something.
Peggy opens up with some of her foolproof flower techniques after this.